Welcome back, everybody, to the Reality Miniverse podcast, where I will be interviewing a bunch of different reality shows. And I want to say this up front before we get started. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, if you could do us a favor and please subscribe. But more importantly than that, the podcasting apps. We're on there now, Spotify, Apple. If you're listening on those platforms, 5 stars goes a long way. So especially here in the beginning, we're a new podcast and we want to blow up a little bit. So help us out, would you? But enough about me. I want to introduce our guest here today. This is somebody that I've known for a few years. I first met her at Hearts of Reality. And I believe one of the first conversations we had, I don't know if it was the first, but we talked about my mini coming up, which was based on Squid Game's Tentacle Game. And Debbie was very interested then. So I've always known Debbie is a Squid Games fan. So I'm going to bring her on. It's Player 40, Jersey Debbie. How's it going?
140. Hi.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's totally fine. It's all good. I am a Squid Games fan. Hi, guys. Hi,
Debbie.
Orir. Well, Orir, it's so good to talk with you again. We've known each other for a few years now in the community. So thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, this is awesome. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
I gotta ask, because again, you're like a reality TV fan. Was Squid Games like the first choice of yours? Like, how did you end up on Squid Games? Let's start there.
Okay. Well, as you know, and people might know, I've played LRGs. I've played orgs. I'm really passionate about the games. I'm a reality TV super fan. Having said that, my dream show, and I did an interview for my local it's called Tap into Westfield, my local town. And I said this on when they asked me to. My dream show is Big Brother. It's always been Big Brother. My dream is to get on that show. However, of course, like I was super excited to be on Squid Games. It's absolutely been a top choice of mine. I didn't apply to season 1. I knew a few people on it and was eager to apply to season 2. Obviously I would always love to have that smaller cast and have that chance to shine and, a higher percentage for the money. But absolutely, I've been a fan of Squid Games. And like you said, I've played, the tentacle games, and I've always, loved the social aspect of it and, the strategy as well.
Okay, well, you mentioned LRGs, and we do have a question here from the official LRG casting account. Great page if you don't follow it.
Yes.
The question is, tell us about the casting process, and did your experience with casting for LRGs help you in any way?
Okay, so first I'll say my experience with casting for LRGs absolutely helped me. Guys, like LRGs and orgs as well, any type of reality game you can do is a really good experience, and it just prepares you for the future, right? Like we as orgers and LRGers, like always have I don't want to say upper hand, but we always have the knowledge when it comes to like strategy, and we've played these games, and it sometimes can, get the worst of us, but we're always, strategically in our heads, like we know how these games work. So yes, absolutely casting for LRGs. Of course that process has not been, you don't have 160,000 applying to LRGs when 456 make it, but it absolutely has helped me. And in terms of what the casting process is like, so, just to kind of, tell you guys like how I got here and whatnot. So my experience, the process, it takes time because like I said, so many people are applying. And what I can say is that when you apply, you send a video, usually a 1-minute short video. They're still casting for season 3, guys. So here's your chance. And you really want to put in the video, like you want to be catchy. What I've learned from applying to these shows and just in general is like, I used to start with like, hi, I'm Jersey Debbie. I'm a mom, my age. That's out the window. Then the first 5 seconds, they're like boring, snooze fest. You got to start with what makes you you and makes you authentic. So I started with like, hey, my friends call me Jersey Debbie. They've got my name written on this Dunkin' Donuts coffee. I've got to have my coffee every morning. Like have a prop. Maybe show your life. I'm not that good at editing, so mine was a standstill. But I really talked in those moments about being a Lyme disease survivor and what that money means to me, being a mom of two boys raised by a single mom, having to struggle in my life. I've had miscarriages and hardships, and doing advertising sales, having that gift of gab, um, being a bar enthusiast. So, kind of wrapping it up, I talked about my hobbies, what I would do with the money, and kind of like a gimmick, and showed my personality. So, I would say, when you're auditioning, kind of think in those first 10 seconds how you want to grab their attention. It's not going to be your name and where you're from. Sure, you're going to include that, but you want to show your authentic self and why you're different and tell your story. And so yeah, so I did that. I was like, let me shoot my shot. Um, Early January of 2024, you know, um, some friends of ours in the org community pushed me also. They're like, we applied. Did you apply? Get the app in. And um, I, was like, I need to do this. And I think it was like midnight. My lighting wasn't even that great. I was wearing black, which is a huge no. You should wear a color. And I just did my video on the cusp. I didn't edit it. I didn't think about it like I usually do. And I filled out the app. I spent time thinking about, who I am, right? Like I can do a mean shoot by Salt and Pepper karaoke. I can do an 11 minutes and 30-second plank. Like what makes me different? Filled out my app. I got that call in July, so 6 months later, an LA number called me and I was like, oh my God. And when they said, this is Studio Lambert, are you still interested in, Squid Game, the challenge? I screamed. And they were like, do you have time? And I was like, well, I have time for you now. So, I booked my Zoom call with the casting director, and series of rounds of questions, background checks. They want to make sure you're physically fit, that you're, psychologically sound as well, etc. So yeah, I didn't get cast until actually I found out when I was at Over the Edge in December.
Okay.
And then my ticket was booked shortly after. So yeah, it was a process, but it was so worth it. And you just got to know when you apply to these shows, it's going to be a process. You're not going to hear overnight. And just keep the faith and keep applying to
Yeah.
shows. And that's what I've been doing. And that's what I was doing. Yeah.
I feel like all the cast members from this season have kind of like a hook.
Yeah.
Everybody has something, whether it's a cool job or a bunch of followers on Instagram, whatever it is. What do you think your thing was? What was it about you? The one thing that you think really got them like convinced in Jersey Debbie?
Well, my name in itself, Jersey Debbie, but no, I don't think that was it. I think, it's funny because I never asked them like what about my video. I think when I did my Zoom interview, what hooked them was just being authentically myself and talking like I'm talking to them at a bar or at game night, and like, I'm a Gemini, like what do kind of going back and forth and engaging. But I think the real hook from my initial video, if I were to guess, I think what makes me different is that I talked about how I'm a Lyme disease survivor, and not only did I want to win the money for my family, but I also wanted to give back to Lyme disease awareness. And, of course, there's other people out there and in the game as well with Lyme, but it's kind of a rare thing to go through, especially being on reality TV. Yeah, so I think being a Lyme disease survivor, being raised by a single mother, and I think just my personality, really, really got them. But I think just my drive and my passion, but yeah, I would say that's probably like why I wanted the money and why I wanted to inspire others, and really, show the world that if I can do it, you can do it too. Being that I've gone through these hardships. So I think going through something in life kind of got their attention.
Yeah, that's cool. So I want to ask about the casting process, and
Mhm.
as soon as you know that you're going right, what are the kinds of things you're doing to prepare, right? Because you've seen the first season, you've
Yeah.
seen the scripted show, I assume. What kind of things are you looking at to like really are you training to get ready?
Yeah, I did. Not everyone practiced. I did. And, sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't, but I was going to practice anyway. So I, bought the stuff on Amazon, bought the flying rock, bought all those pentathlon games. Your girl could not do the envelope. I could not do the dice. I could not do the pom pom. Um, but I practiced that flying rock, and I was able to become a pro, doing it underhand, being petite, and so yeah, I practiced those games. Also, as you know from like meeting me and being on Real Foot Prod when I've played as well, and just in general, I always like to keep in shape, right? So I try and go to the gym 5 times a week on average. Like I do bar classes. So I made sure, like, okay, keep in shape with making sure I'm in shape, doing my yoga, doing my bar. Another thing I did to prepare was try to eat healthy, and I tried to cut the alcohol and the drinking. So there's no coffee, there's no alcohol in the game. So I, was told, to cut coffee. So um, as you see with my Dunkin' that I still have from this morning and my Diet Coke, like I'm a caffeine freak. So it was hard. So I tried to, I was supposed to cut it earlier, but like 2 weeks leading up to the game, I cut coffee. I had the headaches at first, but I got used to it. I was a little tired. So yeah, just trying to cut my diet and making sure I can live without those things if I were going to be there for the 3 weeks.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would have to cut caffeine too, I think, among other things. So I get
Yeah.
it. Um, okay, so how about let's talk about like maybe your first getting into the game, maybe not even just before a little bit, like you're seeing the people you're playing with, right? And I recognized a lot of people on the cast, and I know you
Yeah.
did too.
Yeah.
I want to know specifically who are like some of the first people you saw that you're like, oh my gosh, I know this person.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I saw Player 100 and I'm like, there's Mark, because I played competitive events with him. Such a sweet guy. And I felt a little bit at home. I was like, okay, like there's like, my comfort zone. Um I knew of Manfred from competitive events, but I hadn't played with him, so he looked familiar. And I don't want to butcher the numbers, but I believe his number is 223. And he was actually in my cohort. So, we talked and we realized like we had mutual friends and knew each other. I also saw Melissa, who I know pretty well, player 110. Actually, to preface it with that, I didn't see her until we entered the dorms, actually. So, like,
Okay.
at the hotel, like, I actually did not see her at all till we got in. But yes, getting into the dorms, player 110 and player 415, Eric. So I had not played LRGs with him, but he looked very familiar, and I actually went up to him. I remember, and I was like, did you play allergies? And he was like, yeah, shh, don't tell anyone. We got to be secretive. um, but yeah, so I recognized, I only knew those four people. Yeah. And there were a lot of people going in with like duos. Like I didn't know, like brother, sister, mom, son, um, and dad, daughter, etc., twins. But yeah, I knew those five people. And so that was cool because I just kind of figured we're in the reality community. There's got to be other people from orgs and allergies. We've all applied to these things. And I knew even last season there were a few too. So yeah, it was cool. It was really cool to see them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, let's move into like the first game,
Yeah.
which is a controversial one, I would say. I think I've heard people really love it, but I've also heard people who don't like it.
Yeah.
I probably, if I was there and I heard this game for the first time, I don't think I would have been very happy. So I
Yeah.
want to know what you think. The Count, right? I think they call
Yeah.
it. What was
EXO.
your reaction to hearing that being the first game?
Okay. So just to back up on that for a second, I was prepared for red light, green light. I wore a pad. I'm like, I'm gonna be peeing in my pants. Like, I need a pad. I didn't even have my time a month, but I was like trying to double underwear, wear a pad, and try to empty my pockets. And then I realized when we got into the dorms, we're not playing red light, green light. Like, I don't need this. Um, so my first reaction was like, oh my God, we're in the dorms. Because they separated us into groups and staggered us coming, and we came later, but I'm like, it's way too late for red light, green light, and we weren't wearing our thermals. Um, so I was like, we're in the dorms. We're not playing red light, green light, but there's only like half the beds. There's got to be something. We're not all sleeping here. But I thought it was really cool that they got to introduce everyone to the dorms, whether you stayed there or not, because I know with season one, not everyone even saw the dorms because the red light, green light was in a different location. Um, but I was scared. Like, so, we'll get to this in a second into the episode where you kind of see a scene, which I'll talk about. Um, but yeah, I was scared. And, at that time, we had our cohorts, but my strategy was to be social and like meet as many people as possible. So I went around introducing myself to everyone. And when they said divide into X's and O's, I kind of looked around the room for those familiar faces and I was like, okay, I trust them. They're pretty good players. Melissa's one. You know, I'm like, if they're going down, I'm going down with them. So I'm like, I'm gonna go on the X, where the people I know are going. And I just had a good feeling about the red X. So yeah, it was, but yeah, when they first like said when the guards came out and they said players, like, and they needed a duo, like it was crazy. It was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, was there any part of you that would have stepped up in that instance, or were you at that point you're like, no way, right?
Well, so here's the thing. You needed to have a duo to step up. So
Okay,
like it needed to be like mom and dad, a
I see.
twin. They asked anyone that came with a partner. Um, so if I had come with someone, I don't know. I didn't know it was counting. So maybe, but knowing it was counting, no. Um,
Yeah.
I don't see, I think like part of me wanted to do that like in like chores and stand out and show my big personality. But part of me also was like, there's 455 other big personalities. We were chosen for a reason. Let me be under the radar and not put a target on myself. So to answer your question, no, I don't think I would have volunteered. It's too risky right away, the first one.
Yeah. I'm interested, did they ever ask if you wanted to bring family? Was that ever an option for you?
So they didn't actually ask me specifically. I know they asked some people, but I no, I was not specifically asked, but that's
Who
okay.
would you have brought if you got to bring somebody?
Oh, who would I have brought if I got to bring family? That's a good question. Who in my family would have done it? I think I would have brought my best friend, not
Yeah,
family. Yes.
that's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair.
I would I
Yeah.
would have totally brought my best friend. I won't say who, but my girl would have deserved it and applied to. So yeah, I would have brought someone who I knew no matter what we'd
Mhm.
be ride or dies. And I'm only saying that because like my family is like they don't really get like the reality TV, and I just don't know if they're like that type. But yeah, I would have brought my best friend, and there were actually best friend duos there, like one or two, like
Okay.
college roommates and stuff. But yeah, I don't think I would have volunteered at first.
Fair. No, that's
Yeah,
fair. Uh, oh, this is kind of a side tangent. I know
yeah,
we're kind of talking about the game,
yes,
but I'm thinking about it now and I'm looking at
yeah.
it. Kyle Alden on Facebook asked,
Hi, Kyle.
did you get to record any confessionals? Because from my perspective, there was kind of like three or maybe
Yeah,
two different settings. You could be in like the interrogation room, or you could be what looked like a green screen. Maybe y'all recorded those while y'all were out
yeah.
there. I'm not. Let me. Did you get to record confessionals?
So unfortunately, I didn't. There were so many people in the game. I was lucky enough to get what I got, which we'll talk about soon, in terms of like screen time. But I didn't. I really wanted to. I wanted to tell my story. I just think that like there were so many different stories and storylines, and had I been there longer, I think I could have had a chance to stand out and shine. But I think, yeah, I didn't, unfortunately. However, a lot of my friends in the game did. Some of those main characters. And but yeah, I had some moments where I was talking to people that I was hoping they would record, but I was prepared for it. I packed like my sequin top, and I was gonna like I wanted to to be dressed in normal clothes for that, but it just didn't happen. Yeah.
Yeah. That's okay. Yeah, I mean that. So let's talk about like some of your actual
Yeah.
on-screen moments, right? If you want to share some of those, I
Yeah.
know it kind of feels like I see you on Instagram. You like whether it's your back or your front, you're posting
Yeah.
that, and I respect that. So yeah, tell me about some of your favorite moments.
Yeah. So I didn't get much, but I'll take what I can get. So I was surprised. I, did not realize I had an actual speaking line, even though it was not long. So if we want to jump to this, so after the EXO game, we're cheering. We go to the dorm, and you know, we think something is up because the O twin comes back. We're like everyone's trying to talk to them, and people are doing chores, which I didn't step up for because I was like, oh, I'll do it later. And then we all thought people doing chores were eliminating someone. Well, it turns out the guards say like it just looked like something was up. Um, And so, I gravitated towards Mark. I knew him. So, I wanted to find him in the beginning and we were talking. And you see that moment, that conversation in the first episode where it's my back, but, the cameras were all over the walls. So it's not like we had a camera crew, um, but where he says, "I'm scared. I think something bad is going to happen to me." And I say to him, I'm like, "Oh, the twins? Oh, you think one of the twins is going to eliminate someone?" And I reassure him, because like I figured he was safe. I'm like, "You're good, Mark. Don't worry. Nothing's going to happen to you. Like you're so social. Everyone loves you." And they didn't record that specific part. But yeah, he was scared. I guess, I there is a conversation that I have with the twins after, which we'll get to because I remember my hair was squibbed. From not squibbed, but had Jackie's squib in it because I hugged her. But I was trying to be social, but I didn't know the twins at that time. So they didn't know my number. So if they didn't know my number, they couldn't kill me, right? I mean, they still
Mhm.
could. I was like, "Oh, I'm scared. Like, I don't want a target on my back because I'm being social." And I remember talking to, like, I think it was Peter, who's one of the main characters, and I was sitting and he's like, "Why would anyone, everyone likes you, you're social. Why would anyone want to kill you?" I'm like, "I don't know. It's just, again, it's the paranoia in me from playing these games, like the strategy, you never know." So, anyway, back to that. So I'm talking to Mark and he's like, I know that he talked about his Star Wars wedding and they asked him why he wanted the money. And he's like, "I think something bad is going to happen." I'm like, "No, you're good. You're good." And then the pink guards announced that they're going to kill 3 people because there's 3 less beds. Um, and this was like, or after we already got into the dorms and chose them, but they took them away. Um, so we had a moment, and again, this wasn't on camera, but Mark asked me, he's like, "Can I hold your hand?" And I wanted to too because I was scared also, and I was like, "Absolutely!" Like, so we held hands as we were scared. My heart was, I mean, beating out of my chest because it felt like in slow-mo, so slow when they called the 3 people one by one who they were killing, even though it looked so quick on screen. So first it was each twin, and then it was Jackie, number 107. Um, so yeah, I was scared. And I didn't know, who it could have been. So we were holding hands and I was just like, we were both scared. I was like, "Okay, we're good." But I told him, I was like, "Nothing's gonna happen to you." Like I was reassuring him. So basically, they, so Jackie, the girl that got squibbed, I guess it was because of her answer of what she would do with the money. And I had met her on the medicine line right before we went into the dorms after we won. I was like, I have a headache. I need some Motrin. And she needed some too. So we were on the medicine line. I met her and Sam because they were close, the one with the pink hair. Um, and we just had a good conversation. Like she was great. I really liked her. And I was standing right next to her. Like we were standing near her. I think you see a shot. It's like me, Mark, and like Hannah's near there too, 360, who I had met at first. And we're um we're standing right near her and she's in shock and they squib her and everyone's like, her close friends are crying. I had just met her, but I really liked her and I was standing right there. So I went and hugged her because I was shocked. So I got her squib in my hair. The rest of the game, my hair was sticky. Um, so there was a moment
Squib?
where,
I've never heard this word used. Is this
yeah,
like a just a Squid Games word? Squib?
yeah, yeah. Well, it's called a squib pack, but like ink pack. Like I
Okay.
got her ink in my hair. Yeah, when you get like
Okay.
squibbed. Yeah.
You said that the first time. I was like, I don't know what that is, but I'll
Yeah,
let you go.
sorry, ink, yeah.
Okay.
So, there's a moment where you see my back talking to the twins after, and like my hair is kind of like bunched up in the back like this, but you don't realize, but my hair is like stuck together because I'm like, "What's sticky?" It's like the ink in my hair. And I don't remember my exact conversation with the twins. I think I was kind of like meeting them, like personally for the first time, even though I had seen them on the X's and O's, and I was just like, "Hey," and I think I asked them like, "Why Jackie? What did you have to do?" Like I think I was trying to get the tea. Um, so yeah, that was cool. I had a few moments, a few shots. There was a shot before, actually right before that happened, where I was sitting with Mark and Dimitri, and my hands over my mouth, and I think it's probably when the pink guards tell us something's about to happen, and we're all in shock. Um,
Mm.
so I figured I'll take what I can get because, I was there and I was on the screen to prove it, even if it's my 5 seconds. So
Yeah. Was it so? I guess it's a multi-part
Yeah.
question. Number one, I'm curious how long you were there in total, and number two, I want to know how hard it was because I remember season one, especially, there was a lot of stuff coming out about just the conditions being tough, as you
Yeah.
would expect. I think a little
Yeah.
bit. How
Yeah.
hard was it, and how long were you there?
Okay, so like overall I was there for a week.
Okay.
3 weeks was the longest. So there were like when we flew to the hotel, like some people came the day before, some after in like cohorts. Um, so I came not I think the last I think yeah, the second day, but we were in the hotel for a few days. We, had to prepare. Obviously we were like sequestered. So I and that's when we were into like little groups and cohorts, and it was really hard without my phone, but that's, reality TV. Big Brother does it too. Um so we were there for a few days, and I slept in the dorms for 2 nights. Um because my I'll get to the game, but my team won the second day. So yeah. So I mean, um was short-lived, but it was cool. Like I was like, I'm not going all the way to the UK to not sleep in the beds, shower here, brush my
Mm,
teeth in the bathroom, eat the porridge. Um, so yeah, at least I got to live in the dorms. And that's one of the reasons why like you see everyone in the X room jumping and screaming. I mean, that was like one of the most exhilarating moments of my life with the adrenaline pumping because I'm like, of course the goal is to win and the goal is to get far, but I'm like, I'm making it to the dorms. So
yeah,
yeah.
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Um, did anything else from like dorm life? Anything that you wish had gotten on the screen before we like talk about pentathlon and all that?
Oh, absolutely. So, and I don't remember numbers, but I had okay. So we're sleeping. So my bed was next to my friend Hannah, 360, and then above us was this woman Heidi, and we were just talking about our kids and being a mom, and we kind of had that moment, like which was really cool. Um, and then there was a guy Tyler who's like definitely yeah, maybe one of the mainish characters. And we kind of like we're talking about like mutual friends and like we both knew Dash and like just like about like strategy and survivor and targeting. I didn't know if that would make it on, but it was like a late night talk, like sitting on the bed, because his bed was like I think right above mine, and mine was the third up. So like any higher, I could not climb that ladder. Um, so that was cool. There were definitely snorers, and I could not sleep with the snorer. My friend Hannah got like some help with the, but I was like, oh my god, there's snorers here. And but actually, so a few more really cool moments, and then we'll get past it. So I so that morning, right before the pentathlon, like when we woke up the second morning, there was there was um there was this woman CJ whose bed was next to mine. And it was very early in the morning. We had just put our mics on, and like before everyone even woke up, the lights were still dimmed before the music goes on. And CJ tells me, their cancer story, how they're a 4 times cancer survivor, gone through all this chemo, and I just start bawling. And I'm telling CJ about my Lyme story and how I'm a Lyme disease survivor. And, you know, CJ was telling me about like how like she came wanted to like come here after that, and it was just such a moment. And I definitely took that small moment, even if it was a 5-10 minute conversation, and we hugged and like we cried. And yeah, that was really cool because it wasn't about the game, but it was real life stories and what we've survived. And like I've gone through Lyme. My father passed away of cancer, and just hearing 4-time survivor was just an amazing story. um there was I mean, there were definitely a lot of people that I met, and and a lot of the O's that didn't make it as well. But just looking for the number because yeah, I just want to make sure I don't butcher these numbers. Okay. There was also so before we were split into X's and O's, and this person reminded me of that because I was like, wait, I remember we were all like talking before. So we get in the dorms, everyone's talking before we get into X's and O's. They tell us to sit in a line and eat lunch. Um, and every time I had to get my meal, I'm in the gluten-free line, and everyone's like, "Oh, like what do your meatballs look good." I'm like, they're like tofu, like people are like checking it out. But anyway, so we eat lunch because we were there for a long time before we do the X's and O's. And so I met this guy, number 131, named Dallas, and we were just like having like a really good like bonding conversation. And I told him about my Lyme story, and yeah, we were sitting there having lunch, and I kind of thought maybe he was an ex, or maybe he was out on the pentathlon, but I never saw him again. Um, Hindsight, I kind of wish I was like, come with me to X, but who knows? Everyone's like, you're losing people at some points. So he wound up being an O, but that was a cool conversation. And I'm glad I got to know a lot of the O's as well, because yeah, it was just like a lot of people stayed in their groups. My strategy was to go around and try and socialize and talk to everyone. Maybe not the best, but I was like, if I'm going out, I at least want to know that I met as many people as possible. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that was before we got into X's and O's. Yeah.
Well, cool. Do you want to talk about pentathlon now? Because I
Yeah.
gotta say, this is, I mean, gotten this question from a couple people on social
Yeah.
media. I have the question too, and I'll,
Yeah.
I'll read it from, let's see, who gave it here. Brandon Grummett says, for Debbie, which
Yeah.
task did you choose? And was the race close? So I'm
Okay,
dying to
Brand.
know.
Yeah. Okay, Brandon. Sorry to disappoint you all. So my biggest lesson in Squid Games is go with your gut. Because like I said, I was doing this flying rock. I was going to be a pro. But, it's really about your team too and who you're against. And I thought, it could be about height order too. But so I was doing that because all the other games I could not do. And then we get there and we see ball and cup, which is different than the other games. So, you know, one of the women on my team was like, well, maybe you should go on the end because you're shortest. Someone else on my team, who was like very like sporty and very athletic and good at these types of games was like, no, the height doesn't matter. So I was just kind of like in my head right before that. And she was like, I could do flying rock. And I was like, even though I had said all day I wanted to do flying rock, I was like, you know what? I thought about my org experience and I was like, I can do cup and ball. I can get a ball in a cup. Okay, not on the damn string, but so I was like, I'll do cup and ball. I'll be at the ends. I'll get it over with first. I'm the shortest. That was a disaster. Womp womp. So it was not close. They cremated us. Um,
Okay.
so I was actually told, you know, that I was actually told that the team we were against was one of the fastest, if not the fastest teams. Like they got
Mm.
everything done in one shot. Um, so it took my ass multiple times to get that ball in the cup because I cannot do ball in a cup on a string. Um, so I'm, and it's funny because I've played like orgs since where I'm pretty good with the ball and cup, but not on the string. And I'm like, why couldn't I have done that on TV? But I'm standing there like the mom on The Real Drama when she says slap me. I want it to be like to my teammates, slap me. So I'm standing there. I'll reenact it. I'm gonna move back like this. And I'm like literally hyperventilating, sweating. I'm like I'm literally hyperventilating, breathing like that. And my teammates like, calm down, Debbie. You got this. Just breathe. And then all of a sudden the guy goes pass, and like I finally do it. But yeah, I was struggling. That took me forever. And like first getting out, I was devastated. Like it's been, haunting me. I mean, obviously there's one winner, but you realize your game is done. But yeah, I did the cup and ball, womp womp, epic fail, and no, it was not close. They cremated us.
So let me ask you this: is there any part of you that maybe is glad that embarrassing moment didn't end up on TV?
So I was talking to one of my castmates about this, and they're like, "Girl, you want that on TV?" And I'm like, "I don't know if I want to be the new Spencer in town." Even though joking, love Spencer, but yeah, I just thought it would have been it would have made good TV. Let me tell you, it would have been funny.
Okay.
But I probably would have been made fun of. Yeah, I don't know. I'm glad I had other moments, even though they didn't show the team game. Some people are like, "Oh, were you there? Like, did you do it? Did you get out after?" They didn't show every team. Um, so yeah, I guess part of me is glad they didn't show my flop.
It's the
Um,
one upside, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, there were definitely some people that struggled with the cup and ball. Some did it better. Same with flying rock. Like I think I could have gone in one try because I was looking at the aim but it is what it is. Um, should have, would have, could have. A lot of it is luck. And we had 10 minutes to think fast as a team and make decisions. And sometimes when you're in the moment, you just got to decide. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're all very proud of you, Debbie. I want to
Thank
just
you.
say that. I
Thank
don't
you.
want you to feel like
No,
you let
no.
anybody down. I think this is the coolest thing ever. So just really happy that you got this experience. What else? What else can we touch on? Any other fun stories?
Well, so okay, I mean, there's so much. When we got to the hotel, it was just really cool to meet people from all walks of life. Like I got to really meet some of the cool O's. Um, there was a UK gang that came in late and my flight came in a little later. So they were in my red cohort and it was cool. Like there were a few really cool people that stood out to me in the from the UK and the O's that I would have loved to work with, but um, and definitely people I keep in touch with from the O's. So I made some good connections when we were, at mealtime in the hotel, and even just in the dorm. Like I tried to, even though a lot of people stayed with their groups, like I just wanted to kind of meet as many people as I could. And I'm like, if I get out in the first game, I want to at least go home knowing that like I tried to meet people and I introduced myself to people and they like would remember my name. But yeah, I mean, there were definitely stories, there. So one story that also stuck out. So in the X room, um, okay, so in the X room, when they tell us we're counting, I'm thinking, and when you talk about do orgs and LRGs prepare you, like I'm thinking, oh my God, I've done this count, not 456, but I've done this counting, blindfold
Yeah,
counting for orgs. I'm like, your girl cannot count. Like I'm
I know.
always
Yeah, same.
flopping those. Yeah, yeah. I'm always, but it's so funny because cup and ball counting, and I'm like, so when they did the counting, and I'm like, oh my God, this is like so similar to like these games I've played, and it's so crazy how it prepares you because but anyway, so I was like not touching that counting. I knew I was not volunteering to help out on that. But I knew when the musicians came and they were able to like, do the ACDC cover band, I was like, okay, we're good because the musicians can do the beat to the music. So we're in that room, everyone's screaming. Um, and there was a cool moment that unfortunately they didn't show, and it's so blurry you don't see us. But so I was with Hannah, who's 360, Bethany, and a few other girls, and we sit down and we just have a prayer circle and we hold hands during that because this was out of our control. All we can do is hope and pray that we're going to pass. So we sat down and we held hands and we just looked there and looked away and like there was such anxiety. Like I remember talking to a guy that said he broke out in a rash and eczema. I'm like, I'm breaking out in rashes. Like we're all breaking out in hives. Um, and yeah, we're sitting in that prayer circle, and it was just like a really cool moment. Just like sitting there holding hands, like all bonding, and then hugging after because it like really connected us all because like we made it. And it was cool because Bethany, Hannah, and I, we were all like petite, but like each like a decade apart. So like when it came to choosing the teams, also, um, the three of us were together in that room. So fast forwarding to the room, we were gonna stick together because I'm like, okay, I think like us short girls, like it's height order things should stick together. But then I remember one of them, I think it was Bethany or one of them was like, oh, I don't know if these like big tall guys are gonna want to work with us. We look like, like we're not. But I think we were strong girls. So I remember talking to them and I was like, yeah, I don't know. Like I was talking to Dimitri and I was like, I don't know. And so we didn't know if we should stay together or divide. But I remember we said let's stick together, and then I guess Bethany thought it would be better to go in a different team because we didn't know if we were going against each other at the time in fives or if we were competing in tens. But Hannah and I held hands, and she was like, stick together with me. And so we stayed together and joined a team. Um, and, she wound up surviving and I didn't because they cut us in half. Um, but yeah, that was just like a cool moment of like, realizing like, oh my God, we're all petite girls and like a decade apart. But I mean, it would have been, always like things differently could have happened. But yeah, that was cool. The prayer circle was a cool moment. So we're sitting on the left side so back to the X room, we're sitting on the left side all the way in the back. So I like could circle it, but I couldn't see myself because it's blurry. And then just having that exhilarating moment when we won, screaming and cheering. And I remember because, I know Melissa, number 110, everyone was walking around the room and I had not even seen her. And I remember like we came up to each other and she just like picked me up, and we were just cheering and screaming, and it was just so cool to see a familiar face. And I was like, we made it to the dorms, you know? And it was just cool because like that moment was just, yeah. So yeah, there's definitely other moments like that. You know, from eating the porridge to brushing my teeth in the dirty sink. Um, but yeah, I mean, just the experience overall. Of course, I wish that could have done things differently and lasted longer. And, it sucks that I let down my team, but at the end of the day, there's one winner. Um, it is what it is. And I'm just, yeah, I'm so happy that I was able to be on Netflix. Like I can cross that off my bucket list.
Let's
So,
go.
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, let me ask you this though.
Yeah.
Let's say, what game do you wish you got to play of the ones that you didn't get to get to compete in?
Oh, well, Flying
Is
Rock,
there?
because Flying Rock. Oh,
I mean, like
yes.
future games.
Sorry.
Yeah, like Mingle. Were you excited
Mingle,
about Mingle?
Mingle
Yeah.
was my jam. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm social. I'm small. I can pick people and run. I wanted to do Mingle so bad, but you know what? Looking at catch, unless I was in the back and didn't do it or in the front, I can't catch a damn ball. I'm with Alicia on that. Like, I love her line. Do I look like I catch balls? I couldn't catch that ball.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's got to be a good feeling to like go out and be like, oh, well, the next game was something I was really bad at anyway, so it's
yeah.
fine. It
I mean,
wasn't
I
meant to
would have,
be.
yeah, I would have loved to play Mingle. That definitely was one I was looking forward to, though. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool one. Okay, let's see what else, Debbie. What's next for Debbie?
Yeah. Well, um, you know, I I always just want to, kind of inspire people and show people like if little old me can do it, 4'11 and a half, petite me, you can do it too. So, I would have loved my story to get told. I'm a Lyme disease survivor. I was raised by a single mom, but I don't this definitely was my first reality TV rodeo other than being an extra on Jerseylicious years ago for one
Oh,
episode. I was an
we got to pull
extra
that
like
up.
I was an extra like years ago. Like I just
Okay.
like volunteered one episode. But this was like my first like reality TV cast member rodeo. Um I like to think of it as like the door just opened. I think it gave me the confidence. I've been applying for years. I took time off when I had my kids, but I've been applying to Big Brother since I was in my 20s. And I think it gave me the confidence that I finally made it. Like, this was the first time I actually got interviewed and called back from a casting director, and I made it all the way to the show. So, what's next for me? Um, this this was my first rodeo. It won't be my last.
Let's go.
um,
I'd love to hear that.
yeah, so I there's definitely things on the horizon. Stay tuned. Um, all I can say is, yeah, this won't be the last you'll see of me, but yeah, I think I think what's next is I'd love to just keep I'd love to be on other reality TV shows. I'd love to tell my story. I'm a competitor, like I'm a strategist. And I could be getting a little better at comps. Um and I love to meet new people from all over the globe, all different cultures that I would have never met in real life. And yeah. So yeah, I'd love to even be back on season 3, but I don't know if that'll happen. But yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
you and me both.
yeah, yes.
uh, okay, well, tell people where they can find you online, Debbie, or anything else you want to plug, so people can follow the Jersey Debbie journey if they want to.
Yes, yes. I would love to connect with you guys if anyone has any questions. So my Facebook is Debbie Zeidner Goldberg. And my Instagram, it's really easy. It's um, let me just make sure I'm correct with the underscores because it's Jersey Debbie on Instagram, but I just want to make sure that I am correct with the way I say it. Okay. Yeah, it's Jersey underscore Debbie underscore on Instagram. Um, I am also Debbie Zeidner Goldberg on TikTok. And I'm going to plug in my podcast. So it's on hold right now for construction because we're redoing stuff. But my girl Jenny and I have a podcast we're working on called Jersey Meets Soda. And that is because she's from Minnesota. I'm from Jersey.
I
Um,
see it. I see it. I like it.
yeah. And that's my best friend that I met in orgs, actually. I think you know Jenny. Yeah.
Yes, I
So
know
yeah.
Jenny.
Yeah. So I'm gonna plug that. That is on YouTube, and we have our social media pages, Jersey Meat Soda Podcast. But yeah, those are basically my socials, and I'd love to know like what you guys think. You know, I binged up to episode 4. I'm excited to see what's to come. Yeah, it was intense. So
Okay, last thing.
yes.
Who are you rooting? Who are you rooting for that's still on the show right now?
Okay, who am I rooting for that's still on the show? And you know, there's 44 left, so spoiler alert to the 4th episode, I guess.
Oh yeah. I guess
Okay,
so.
I'm rooting for. Well, I know they're pairs, they're partners, so we'll see what happens with marbles. I don't know if they could both, you know,
Mm.
but I'm rooting for 415 and 110, Melissa and Eric. Um, I am rooting for Vanessa, and I forgot her number. I think it's 10. Vanessa from BB Canada. I'm rooting for her. I'm rooting
There's a
for
BB Canada person on this game.
yes,
I didn't
Vanessa.
know
She has
this.
blonde curly hair. Yeah. I'm rooting for AJ.
Okay.
So a moment we had when we were waiting in the rooms to play the game, AJ's team was last. Like we were second to last. We didn't get to the hotel till like 2 a.m. We didn't do it till like midnight. And um we were always told simmer down, like no talking by production, and we were put like on ice for 2 days, right? So um we weren't supposed to talk, and I remember I go to the water cooler and AJ's there, and I say something like, "Oh, my arm fell asleep," or something irrelevant to the game, and I got yelled at for talking, and we looked at each other and we're like, "We got you. Like we're gonna work together if we both make it." And I would have loved to work with her if I made it, but I didn't. So yeah, I'm rooting for AJ because I just got a good vibe from her. Um, and I'm rooting for Shelly. Um, the blonde with the pink hair. Um, I'm rooting for Steve, who is the gambler from Arizona. And yeah, I think I mean there's definitely so many good people left on the
You love
show.
everybody. They're all your friends. You made
Yeah.
55 friends, right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of like who you know, but yeah, I mean there's so many people that are still left that are good players. I mean, it's the top 44. But yeah, I would say those are a few that I'm rooting for. Oh, also Claire, she's from Maine. She's there too. Yeah.
Shout out Claire. Okay. All right, Debbie. Well, thank you so much again for doing this. This was lovely to talk to you. I hope it's not the last time we get to talk
Yeah.
in this
No.
capacity by any means. So, again, thank you so much, and we'll close it out there.
Thank you, Arir. It's always great talking with you. And yeah, talk to you soon.
Cool. See you guys. Thank you.
Bye.